Hello everyone. I wanted to do a video on making a generative intro maker. The dream would be that each time you press play, it makes you a different intro for a tune. It just sparks ideas and you can just get an intro starting point. So I'm going to be learning as I go. Let's dig in and see what we can make. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is set the key to F minor up here in a new MIDI track. Probably pads first. I'm just going to have a little explore with this drum rack. I've got this idea. What I'd love is I just put one MIDI note in here and then that comes into the drum rack in random places, which goes inside a chain here, which then produces different chords and different sounds each time. So I need to make that and see what we can do. Okay, so each time that's just going to trigger one note. So I've just put in a basic Serum pad. And what I'm going to do is try and get it so that each time this note triggers, there's a MIDI setup of MIDI effects here that randomizes it and creates different chords for each time this comes in. That would be really interesting. A random selector. So each time I press play now, even though there's an F note coming in here, so it triggers an F note every time, all that does is says to the drum rack at the moment, because I haven't got this random one in, it says trigger this cell. And then because this cell has now been triggered, the note that comes into this section is just a C note. But what I'd like is some sort of randomness to happen inside here. So I'm going to use chance again to switch that up. Bipolar. So at least we're getting different notes come into the scaler now. And then I will have a chord maker come in here so that it'll do some different notes. So I think I'm going to have an original first note and then have something that's like maybe one semitone up. That's pretty cool, but it's all too low. And then maybe a fourth note as well. So octave, a fourth. And then maybe I could have one underneath all that, like an octave down. And I'd like that now to change every kind of like 4 bars. So maybe I need an arpeggiator first. And I could do that every 4 bars, hopefully. Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to work it out for 172. I don't know if this rate, it doesn't go high enough. If we do 60,000 divided by our tempo, 172, that gives us a quarter note. So if I times that by 2, it's a half note. Times that again by 2, it's a whole note. That's 2 bars, that's 4 bars. So 5.5 seconds. No, of course it doesn't go that high. Okay, I'm going to have to think of a different way then. Okay, this is quite a cool setup then. I'm learning as I go because I'm trying to make this from scratch, but the idea is it triggers this note. That comes into the drum rack and that triggers this cell. And that comes into this sequencer and this is set up to play a note every bar. Then it's a bit too short. After it triggers that note, this one changes the length to about 4 bars, roughly just over 5 seconds. Then this one randomizes the note. Then that random note gets turned into a chord, but it's just a random chord. So then it needs to be scaled and then it goes into the synth. So that should now, every time I press play, even though I'm just sending in this, I should get pretty cool chords every time. Okay, I think this is working, but something's a bit strange, so I'm just going to try it outside of the drum rack. So it starts with a F note, just triggers that every time. That goes into the SQ sequencer, which gives me a 4-bar note. So now every 4 bars I'll get a new chord, but it's a new short chord, like a dum. So that one makes it longer to fill out the whole 4 bar. Then this randomizes that note so that I get a different note every time. That turns it into a random chord, which then needs to be pitch limited so that it doesn't go too high or low on the pitch. Then scaled in more dissonant chords that I like. Then this randomizes some of the presets on the instrument, and that's given us kind of a starting sound for our production, which is quite cool. Yeah, okay, so that's kind of our pad generator. Check out mattchapmanaudio.com for mixing and mastering, one-to-one music production blogs, and exclusive content in the store. That's mattchapmanaudio.com. The next thing I want to do is at the end of each bar, have an aim and break beat come in here. It'd be like a different edit each time. Can't beat the original. I'm going to put that into the sampler so that we can get different hits, hopefully, of aim and break beat each time. I think I might use Serum for this, maybe. Okay, so let's get a C note in here. And so now, if I use the MIDI effects to randomize the pitch coming in. Okay, so now we've got a random note coming in each time. And then I want to have an arpeggiator. That's pretty cool, but random. Okay, yeah, the note length to stretch that out to 1 bar, 1.34, so. Okay, so I might have to edit these loops so that it hits more on like ideal places. So that was really nice, but like I wouldn't want it to start there. So maybe I need to bring it back to there. That one back to there, I guess. And these the same. And then each time that comes in, I just want it to be at the end of the bar for like a little edit. So do nothing for a while and then filter in and stuff. So let's put that for a filter. Okay, so what should hopefully happen is then you get every 4 bars, you get a random chord and then a little bit of aim and break beat just come in. You'll get a different edit each time, which I think is quite cool. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think I like what I've made here with this pad. So I think I might actually take this out and put a Serum in and try and make something a little bit nicer kind of pad wise. Yeah, I really like that. That's quite cool now. So that's going to generate a new one each time. Okay, cool. That's quite good. Okay, now we need probably something like a little melody. And what I'd like is each time you hit a note, it's a different sound. So just put a basic note in for now. So what I'm going to try and do is have like a random generator thing using sample and hold maybe. Let's get something interesting like a wavetable. Yeah, Reese mess, that could be cool. And let's link that to the wavetable. That's quite cool. We can link a filter to this. Quite like that. Then I'm going to put in just a regular sine wave. That's pretty cool. So it changes each time. And then on the effects, I'm going to have these change each time as well. So I'm just putting a randomizer on each one of these so it gives me a different sound each time, which is quite cool. And then I'm just going to have one more filter or EQ just to take out some of the low end on this because I don't want it to be like a bass thing. I just want it to be like an effect maker. So that's the plan, is that we'll have these notes just come across, one big long note, and then have the MIDI effects chop it up into other notes again. Maybe need a compressor as well just to keep those under control. Okay, then we're going to want a note every quarter again, so we could use this same thing to copy and paste that. Okay, cool, so we get a little different bass here each note. Okay, I need to fix a little bit of that mid-range, so I'm going to use a little EQ8 just about if that 200 comes up. A little bit of low. That's good. And then a little bit of glue just to try and control. If the basses come out too loud or quiet, they'll just be controlled a little bit. Because this is just going to play F notes the whole time, which is fine. Probably copy this MIDI note down, delete all of this and start again. But now we've just got an F note coming in, and it'd be good to make some like melody type of thing. That's when I want that to come in, is at that point. I love just sine waves detuned, really. Let's just loop around this bit for a moment. Yeah, that's cool. So I'm going to get the same again, have something to chop it up. So that'll be like a MIDI effect, and have an arpeggiator. And then I want those to be randomized. And once again, linked to the scale of F. But I want more of these kind of notes. F sharp, I want them to be in there. And then the really musical notes like C, will take that out. So let's limit the range. Yeah, be a bit more kind of controlled here. Maybe F4. Yeah, so that's giving me the random notes, which is cool. Now I need to just get a sound that I actually like. So now if I have this going across the whole intro, we should get differences every single time. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is make a randomized percussion for the intro. So I'm definitely going to go back to the drum rack for this one. Let's just get a hat in for a minute. Yeah, it's pretty cool for a little starting hat. And then let's put in an arpeggiator. And then a randomizer. And then a pitch selector. Okay, so what I can start doing is changing up each of these hat decays and volumes so that you get a different hat every time. And then I might just put a little tiny different effect on each one of those. So each time there's a hat, you get a tiny touch of echo. This next one, like a different type of delay or whatever. Okay, yeah, and that's pretty much what my intro generator is going to be for today, I reckon. It's got a bunch of cool sounds, kind of works for now. And then I would put a bunch of audio tracks down here to do each thing printed. And the idea is that you can just bring each one of these down. So this would be input 4. You'd hide this, but when you're ready to start an intro, you can just hit record on each of these and then start editing it and adding your own stuff. So if I hit record now, and there you go, you've got a little intro for your tune. So what's nice about that is if you were to print it again, you get a very slightly different variation each time. It kind of be a cool way to start an idea. And then say you like some bits, you didn't like other bits, you could edit them out. Yeah, I think that'd be really exciting. That's all I wanted to explore today and experiment. And I learned a lot from trying this out. So I hope you've learned something too. And what I'll do is I'll maybe try and put a link to this on my website. So if you wanted to go there and grab it and download it, you could. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch, so thank you so much. Until next time, nice one.